Greetings tabletop gamers, my name is LeunameGames and welcome back to LeunameGames. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to play the 2 to 4 player city building game Machi Koro by Masoa Suganuma and published by IDW Games and Pandasaurus Games. Now before we go any further with the tutorial, I want to make an important disclaimer. The copy that I have here to show you is the deluxe edition of the game, which means it comes with the base game and 2 expansions right off the bat. And I'm only going to be taking a look at the base game in this tutorial. If you want to know more about the 2 expansions, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait. I will post them in future videos, so don't worry. In Machi Koro, players have all been elected a mayor of their own city. But unfortunately, the people have some really high demands. And that's not surprising considering the town is just made up of a wheat field and a bakery and a couple coins that you have. So throughout the course of the game, you're going to be rolling dice, earning money, and using that money to buy new buildings to earn more money to the point where you can buy 4 landmarks and win the game. Let's get to the table, and let's see what's in the box. All that's in the game of Machi Koro are a whole bunch of decks of cards that represent the different buildings that the players are going to be trying to build. In order to set up the game, you need to give each player the following items. I'm setting this up for a 2-player game, so in order for this to happen, you need to give each player a wheat field and a bakery, as well as the 4 landmarks they're going to be trying to build. The train station, the shopping mall, the amusement park, and the radio tower. You also are going to give them 3 coins, and once you've given them all of that, you are ready to begin. Starting with the player who has most recently visited a foreign city, each player is going to go in turn order rolling a die. It's a standard 6-sided die with a mountain representing the 1. So on your turn, you are going to roll this die, and you're going to compare the number rolled to all the activation numbers on the buildings that you have. Each building in the game has a couple bits of information that you need to know. For example, this one here, the wheat field. Each building has a number at the top, which is their activation number, which means that's the number that needs to be rolled in order for the building to trigger. They also have a benefit on the bottom here, which will represent what will happen when the building is triggered. And except for the starting ones, which have nothing on the bottom left corner, every other building in the game will have a coin with a number in the bottom left corner. Now this represents how many coins you need to pay in order to be able to buy that building. Now at the beginning of the game, everyone has the same building, just a wheat field and a bakery. Now as you can see, the bakery has a 2 on it, as well as the die is showing. So technically, the bakery would trigger, but here's the thing. Every building is going to trigger in a different way. The blue buildings will trigger when the number is rolled on anybody's turn. So if say, the person after me were to have rolled a 1, everything that has a 1 on it, which is the wheat field, because it's the only number with a 1, so that means everybody's wheat field is going to trigger, and they're going to get 1 coin. Now the bakery, on the other hand, as well as several others, are green. Now green means that they can only be triggered when you roll that number. So in the case, if I was the start player and I rolled the 2, that means my bakery would trigger, so I would get the benefit from it, but my opponent would not get the benefit because he didn't roll the die. The red buildings, like the cafe and the family restaurant, can only trigger when it's not your turn, because the red buildings are focused around taking coins from other players. For example, the cafe says when a 3 is rolled, because the 3 is its activation number, get 1 coin from the player who rolled the dice. So essentially, it's all about stealing coins from other players. The purple cards are similar to the green cards, except they're getting coins from all players, but they are only able to be activated on your turn, similar to the green buildings. Now what's different about the green buildings and the purple buildings is that when the green buildings get activated, you get coins from the bank. The purples, you take coins from other players. So, you're going to roll this die on your turn, and every player is going to compare the value on the die to the buildings that they have. And the players are going to earn money based on what buildings get activated. Now, everybody starts off with the same buildings, a wheat field and a bakery, and those will only activate on a 1 a 2, or a 3. So in the case of this example, nobody would earn anything. However, if I were to have rolled a 1, well, that triggers the wheat fields. So everybody who has a wheat field, which everyone does at the start of the game, is going to get 1 coin from the bank. Now keep in mind, it is possible that multiple buildings can be triggered at the same time when the same number is rolled. So when that happens, there's a specific order that you have to follow. The first buildings that get resolved are the reds, then the blue and greens will trigger at the same time if they've been activated, and then lastly, the purples will go. It's possible later on in the game for players to end up getting multiples of the same building. For example, let's say later on in the game, I got 3 wheat fields. Well, if I were to roll a 1 when I have these, well, that means the effect of the building, which is gain a coin from the bank, in this case with the wheat field, will be multiplied by the amount of buildings you have. So the more buildings that you get, the better off you're going to be and the more money you're going to gain. Once all the money has been given out to the players, the active player goes into a construction phase. When you're in the construction phase, the player is allowed to spend money to buy 1 building from all the buildings that are available on the table. Let's say I wanted to buy this cafe. Well, the cafe costs 2 coins in order to get. So what I would need to do is I would have to take the 2 coins that I have. You would pay them to the bank, and then you get to take one of those cards and you basically place it in front of you. You now own that part of the building. It's become part of your city. Now if you have the money for it, you can choose to, instead of buying one of the buildings out here, you can choose to instead use the money to finish the construction of one of your landmarks, which is great because like I said, landmarks are what you need to win the game. To finish the construction of one of your landmarks works the same way as buying a building. You basically take the money that you needed to pay for the building, you put it in the bank, and then you take the one that you wanted to build up and you flip it over so that the color side is shown, which is great because now not only are you 1 step closer to winning, but all the landmarks that you have will also give you a special ability for the rest of the game. The train station will allow you to roll 1 or 2 dice on your turn, which is great because there are some cards that are literally impossible to get at the start of the game. The shopping mall will allow you to get an extra coin from either of your establishments that has a bread symbol or a coffee cup symbol, which is important because there are some buildings out there that, as you can see, they have some of those symbols. The 2 reds that are included with the game have a coffee cup. The bakery and the convenience store have a bread symbol. So if you have the shopping mall and one of these 4 triggers, you're going to get a bonus coin for each of those establishments that you have. The amusement park allows you to basically take another turn after the one you're already on if you had decided to roll 2 dice and you managed to roll a double. And the radio tower will allow you to, once per turn, you can choose to re-roll the dice that you have. So for example, if you were to have rolled the die but it didn't match one of the buildings that you had, you can use the radio tower once per turn to ditch that number and roll the die again, hoping that you can get one that does match the buildings that you own. One thing to keep in mind is that buying a building is completely optional. You don't need to buy a building if you don't want to. Players are allowed to own multiples of the same building. So players are allowed to own multiple apple orchards, maybe 2 family restaurants, or maybe 5 mines. You can have as many of those as you want, except for the purple buildings. The purple buildings have this little tower mark here. These are major establishments. Now you can have as many individual major establishments as you want, but you are not allowed to own multiples of the same thing. So for example, I could not own in my city 2 different stadiums. I am, however, allowed to have something like a stadium and a TV station. Once all the money has been laid out and the active player has finished the construction phase, his turn is over and the player will move on to the next player going clockwise. To win the game is very simple. All you gotta do to win is be the first player to complete all 4 of their landmarks. And that's everything you need to know in order to play Machi Koro. As always, if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will get to them. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. That really means a lot to me. If you like what I do and you want to support me in the future, please feel free to hit subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. But until next time, see you later!